Hi, we're talking about brushes today, and I've laid out what I use majorly in the studio. And at the top of this is a squirrel mop here, which will hold a lot of water. And then these are sables. So these are the real pricey brushes here. And then these are other tools that I use every day. Over here, these are all synthetics. So these are nylons or you know, various other things that I use for different things. And then this is a wash brush, of course, for watercolor, for big things. And then these are all for big pieces, like table-sized pieces. These are all nylon as well. And these are not terribly expensive, even though they're large. The sables are really costly. And then these are scrub brushes, or stuff that you would buy at like the dollar store for applying masking fluid or different techniques. You can do a lot of really cool experimental stuff with cheap brushes. So you should have a range on your painting table. But for most practices, the sable brushes, it is important to have a good brush. There are certain things that you just cannot do with the cheaper brushes. So, you know, for your birthday, you know, for holidays, ask for brushes or get gift certificates. Okay, so let's look at those sable brushes in detail. This one is a Kolinsky red sable, number 221. This is a size 6. They should last a lifetime when properly cared for. One thing to avoid is don't beat your brush when you're cleaning it on the side of your container, because if you do that, your brush will end up like this. This has been super glued, and you do not want to take a beautiful expensive brush and have it all sort of beaten up like this. You don't need to do special things to keep these. If possible, they always recommend that you store brushes laying horizontally, but I store them in here just because I don't have the space to do that. This one is been duct taped together, which is terrible, but you notice that the part that matters, the hairs, are in perfect order. So, and sometimes, like one time I had bought a brush and it kind of prematurely lost its coating here, and I called Dick Blick and complained about it, and they sent me another one. So they're a great company. So don't hesitate to order from Dick Blick. There's also Cheap Joe's, of course. This is number 6 by Escoda. It is a Kolinsky. This is my favorite brush right now. It is super. It has a little bit of blue tape on it, just so, because I have a lot of private students in here, and they also will end up with similar brushes, and I don't want them to accidentally put my brush in their box. So that's what the tape is for. Now, another thing you can do is, if you're having some dexterity issues, you can buy little packages of rubber bands, the kind they use for braces. So the little tiny rubber bands, you can buy those and put one on the end of your brush and right where your fingers grip. It will give you a much better hold on that brush, especially if your brush tends to get wet while you're working. Okay, so this is a beautiful chisel-shaped sable. This is by Winsor Newton. This is a 13 millimeter, and this is a terrific brush for laying a very fat line shape. I probably use these rounds more than I use anything. So that's all I want to say about sables. Invest in good brushes, you won't be sorry. Now we're looking at a few brushes that are nylon. This one is a Utrecht. This is a 1.5 inch wash brush. It does have a nice acrylic chisel point on the end. You could actually use that to scratch through to add lines into a watercolor painting while a wash is wet. This one is a Utrecht Sablette, which is a sable substitute. It's also a nylon. This is a Utrecht number 7. It's a great brush. This is a Grumbacher. This is a 1/2 inch. Golden Edge 4622 for all water-based media. And this one is a Raphael Aqua, which is a great brush. Now this is imitation squirrel, so no squirrels were actually harmed in the making of this brush. It is super soft. This is a Raphael 18. It is a great brush. You're gonna love that. And now we are looking at, this is a Jumbo by Royal and Langnickel. This is a number 60. So the size of brush does really have a huge impact on what you're making. If you're making big pieces, you need a brush that will allow you to maintain a wet edge as you're traveling. Otherwise, if the brush is too small, the wash is actually drying on the page, creating a hard edge, and you can't get to it in time. So having a nice range of brushes in different sizes is really what you need. Which one is this one? This is a Dick Blick Mega brush. It is nylon. This is a filbert shape. This is a size 50. And I got this one from my boys for Christmas. So this is a great brush and you will love that. This is a wash brush. This one is a Master's Touch. This was probably bought at Michael's, probably. Not terribly expensive, but it's a good brush and it's a 2-inch brush. And so this will give you a lot of capacity for moving that wet edge across the paper. Okay, these are so cheap that there's actually nothing printed on here. These are like what you get a package of these for like $1. And I use these for applying glue. Now I will actually clean, it's stiff now, but I will actually clean this and I'll be able to apply glue or masking fluid with it. So I do use these for all kinds of processes. Now sometimes, let's say you've got a passage in a watercolor and you put down, it's too dark, and it's a pigment that can be lifted or scrubbed just a little, and you need something super abrasive. You can't use a good sable brush to do that. It would run it. But you can use something like this that's extremely stiff. So you would put a little bit of water on that area in the painting, let it sit for a minute, and then you would scrub it, and then you would put this onto a paper towel, and then you would scrub it again, and you would continue to do that until you are lifting that color off. You don't want to scrub until the paper, I forget what they call that, pills. Don't scrub until the paper pills, but you can scrub with a cheap brush, and this of course is a sponge brush. You should be inventive with your brushes. You can do all kinds of things. Do the wrong thing in the studio. I'm a huge fan of that.